right, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving really quickly. Grant is collecting your quizzes. Tomorrow, you have your last vocab quiz of the week. On Thursday, you have a 25-question test, all on Russia. On Thursday, it's our last day of the week. We are not together on Friday. Are we okay?
You have writing week next week?
Yeah. You will have essays assigned to you on Thursday when you go home. What do you think you're going to do? Take 3 days off and have nothing? No. Sorry. So, you will have essays on Thursday. You will come in, David. Thank you. On Thursday, you will come in, you will take your test, you will pick up your assignments for the week, and you will be assigned essays. No, I'm perfectly fine with just sending you off into the world. It's the same essay format. I've already taught you that. There's plenty of videos about it. You'll be fine. Aren't we excited? That's okay. It doesn't matter. It's happening anyway. It's a good thing, friends. It's better than AP World Writing Week. So, you'll be fun. All right, so Thursday, test, 25 questions, all multiple choice. You are going home with essay prompts. Thank you. He gets it. He gets it. So, let's begin. Today we're talking about the mafia. How often do you actually get academically taught about the mafia? Isn't that cool? I don't know. Oh, yeah. Well, that's cool. That one's pretty cool. This one's cooler, though, because they kill way more people per year. So, here we go. All right, here we go. So, yesterday we got to Yeltsin. We talked about how he's been impeached 3 times, and he eventually will resign from power, and who replaces him? Putin. Putin comes into power, and he shifts the power of the executive branch to make him more powerful. Because everything after 1999 is all about Putin. Okay, so when we talk about Putin, we're talking about how everything is aligning to give him more powerful. That is where he controls the aspects of Russia. He wants as much power as possible, and if he can't take the power for himself, he will consolidate the power against it. Did we talk Security Council? Okay, here we go. So, let's talk Security Council and State Council. Both of these were created by Putin, once while he was president, once while he was prime minister. So, your Security Council is going to be used to assist the president. Used to assist the president. It's like the cabinet here in the United States, and I would acknowledge that. It is like the cabinet here in the United States. Okay? It is the top government officials for both defense and security to help influence decisions. So, the Security Council are your top government and defense secretaries who are there to help influence Putin. So, it's a nice little round table to help him make decisions. Do you think they are a team of rivals? No. Okay? No. Putin has only people who support Putin. Someone asked me, does he put into power all the people in the defenses? Does he, literally put his buddies in charge of the military? No, he doesn't. But if you challenge Putin's authority, he will have you executed publicly in front of your men, which has happened multiple times in Ukraine. We know that the Russians are losing in Ukraine. Yes, and a lot of generals have complained about some of the orders that are being issued, how they break international codes of law, of behavior, and execution of military forces, and they've been executed in front of their men, so then it's the next person up. The next person up learned a very important lesson from their previous, and what was that important lesson? If you say something about Putin, you're going to get executed in front of your... So, does he put the people in charge of their military forces? No. Is he incredibly influential? Yes. So, keep that in mind. So, the Security Council is helping the president make decisions to better improve the security of the nation. Then you have the State Council. The State Council is going to be there to assist the prime minister, because before Putin was president, he was prime minister. So he creates this council to help him create, solidify power for the prime minister. I don't know why that was so hard. So for the prime minister's council, or the state council, they're trying to ensure that government agencies are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. It's supposed to be some sort of accountability, at least to Putin. Okay, so it is the accountability for Putin. And someone asked me, is this a real picture today? That is a real picture. Does anyone know what it is? It is a real picture. That's what they're. That's where the Security Council meets. It's the Winter Palace. Okay, because keep in mind, all of the official government buildings used to be the palaces of the Romanov family. So all of the major structures and all those things have just been converted structures from royal palaces. So if it looks completely over the top and completely encrusted in gold, is it? Yeah, it totally is. Because it was built by the czars over 500 years. So someone's like, they had this in Soviet Russia? Yeah, because they killed the Romanovs. All right. Speaking of, someone asked me if this is a real picture. Yes it is. This is the legislative building. This is where the State Duma, and that is the official church. What is the official sect of religion in Russia? Blake. I don't even have a Blake. Grant. Made you think? Who's your sister?
Blake White?
No, I didn't have Blake White.
Orthodox Christian?
Orthodox, yes. Okay, Eastern Orthodox is their official. As you go, Desmond.
I was wondering if the tops of those towers are painted.
It's gold leaf. Are you in AP Art History?
No.
Oh, well, you would know about your gold leaf.
I'm taking this instead.
I know. Well, are you taking it next year?
I was going to take them super.
Okay. Your peers may have other things to say after identifier test today.
Most of them look like really white guys.
Good, I'm so glad. Here we go. With that being said, it is gold leaf. All of that is real. Russia is really, really beautiful because of these Tsarist buildings. And here we go. So the legislative branch. I'm going to fly through this because I've already taught you a bunch of legislative things. Here you go. You need to know it's a parliamentary hybrid system. We're in legislative now. It is parliamentary hybrid. So it's a parliament system, but it's different, hence the hybrid. You need to know the Duma is the stronger lower chamber. So it is an opposite. And who made it stronger? Putin. You need to know that. The Duma is the stronger lower chamber. You need to know that Putin strengthened it because he can control it because it's helmed in Moscow. And where does Putin live? Moscow. Okay, you need to know it's done by single member elections, just like the British. Okay, you need to know it is bicameral, so there are how many houses? 2. The second house is the Russian Federation. The Russian Federation is the weaker upper chamber. And who made it weak, Alex? Putin. And why did he make it weaker?
To have more power.
There you go, to consolidate more power in Moscow, which is where he is seated to benefit him. It is a weaker upper house because he has given more power and authority to his super governors. You should know that. Okay, now, the Duma are the ones doing the legislative heavy lifting, just like our House of Representatives. What does the House of Representatives do here in the United States? By the way, when I pull it back to the U.S., I'm also trying to help you review for your AP Gov test. You do know that, yes? Because that is coming. I know we haven't talked about it definitively, but it is coming. Mr. Clark, what is the House of Representatives responsible for? They're the backbone of Congress. What do? Yeah, they're the ones passing the bills. The Duma is the one passing all the legislature. They're the ones crafting the bills. They're the ones pushing forward, doing all the things. Okay? They're also confirming the presidential appointments. Okay? The upper house. The upper house has the big picture kind of things, even though they have no power. They're the ones signing treaties. Just be aware of that. And they're the ones in charge of troop deployments. You should be making a note of that, because that is new information. Okay, your next subheading is the judicial branch. And I've been enjoying this all day for many reasons. The judicial branch is used to target opposition. Should a court system ever be used to target opposition? What does that mean, Ford?
Instead of actually doing like a job, like checking if laws are like correct, they're just like using the weapons and stuff.
Yes! And who are they in full support of? Putin. So, for instance, there is a band in Russia. Well, they don't live in Russia anymore, because the moment they step back into Russia, they're all going to be slaughtered and executed in the most public way, called the Pussy Riot. That is their actual name. They hate Putin. They have multiple songs that just start with F Putin. And they talk about all the crazy things that he's done and put him on blast all around the world. They're currently living in Germany under protection of the German state, because they're such a threat to Putin and have called him out and are wanted. At any point, I think one of the members has been killed. I think they were poisoned. Yeah, so quite the traction for Putin to want to kill. These 5 women are some of the most hated people in Russia because of Putin and their opinion of them. With that being said, they are wanted for like 400 years of prison time in Russia. And why do you think they're wanted for 400 years of prison time? Because they directly oppose Putin, they call out his hypocrisy and all these other things, and they are not particularly well liked. With that being said, you need to know that the courts are used for opposition. They target opposition. You need to know they have the power of judicial review, but they don't use it. And what is judicial review? What is judicial review, Jack?
The ability to see like if the law is constitutional.
There you go. So what does it mean that they have the power but won't use it?
Does that have something to do with like how the decision they make is just always right?
Whose decision?
The judges?
It's not the judges they say is always right. Who is it? If they don't overturn legislation, who is always right, Emily? No, because Putin doesn't pass legislation. David? The Duma. So, write down, there are no checks on the Duma's power. There are no checks on the Duma's power because they don't actually use judicial review. So whatever the government passes is always 100% approved by law. How often does that happen in the United States? Never. So how often do you think it happens in Russia? Okay? Second thing you need to know, okay? You need to know that Russia does not have an independent judiciary. What does that mean, Emerson? Nope. What is an independent judiciary, Brooklyn?
It's separate.
Separate? What's separate?
The judiciary.
There you go. Which means it's not influenced by what, Brooklyn?
Legislation.
No.
The legislative.
No. No. What is it, Annie? They aren't controlled by one party. Write it down. That they are not independent, which means they are controlled by one party. And who is controlling the judiciary, Jimmy? Putin. Yeah, and it's the most redundant answer. If you've done any of your focus so far, what is the answer to every question pretty much? Putin. And he's all over the place because of how influential he is. Okay? So they're not independent because the courts are serving Putin, and they are trying to make sure Putin stays in power. That shows us that we have lots and lots of issues going on in Russia. You need to know the judiciary is known as corrupt. It's common knowledge that it is corrupt. Have we studied a government that we know that their judiciary is straight up corrupt? Iran is not straight up corrupt. It has issues of corruption. No, Nigeria isn't. Huh? UK is not.
I said not UK.
Not UK. Okay, you need to know, and you need to put a star. Rule of law exists on paper, but rule by law is in practice. Rule of law exists on paper, but rule by law. What is rule of law, Hannah? Rule of law. That is what we have here in the United States. What does that mean? Rule of law. The law affects here in the United States. Rule of law, Brennan. Everyone is held to the same accountable standard. So it is illegal to jaywalk. So if I jaywalk, I get a citation. If Joe Biden jaywalks, he gets a. Everyone is equal. Rule by law. Rule of law, and write this down if you don't know, is what? Rule of law is what, Ethan? Certain people are above the law. Perfectly said. Okay, rule by law dictates who is being judged by that law and who is not being judged by that law. So who is not tied to the same laws as all the other citizens, Drake? Putin is definitely not. Your oligarchs aren't. Wealthy Russians aren't. Those types of people. What about poor, average citizens? Absolutely. Okay, so you need to know rule of law exists, but it's not in practice. You need to know that corruption is everywhere. Okay, you need to know that the security police are used and operate autonomously. Nick, what does autonomous mean, or operate autonomously? What do you think that means? So there's a group of security police who operate autonomously within Russia. What do you think that means? Okay, you're not wrong because they are controlled by Putin, but what does it mean, Riley? I wouldn't say responsibilities. They have no checks to their power. You need to know that there is a security council, security police that do not abide by any laws. They can do whatever they want. Here in the United States, we have the CIA and the FBI. Those are our highest levels of government, yes, of policing here in the United States. Do they follow the same laws we do? Yes, they do, actually. Every once in a while, you hear court cases where they are going against the CIA and the FBI and accusing them of crimes. And they get caught and they get jailed. And they are held accountable. They're fined incredibly high rates, public firings, all of these things, huge shakedowns. Now, is there a lot more mystery behind the FBI and the CIA? Yes. So do we know all crimes? But anything that is done in the United States and on U.S. territory has to follow the same laws that the U.S. police and citizens have to follow. So keep that in mind. It's an accountability. You also need to know that bribes are commonplace. If you want to go to a good school, you have to pay a. If you want good health care, you need to pay a. If you want an A in Samantha Bennett's class, you need to pay a. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I don't know. The day before I quit, I'll offer a bribe. Just kidding. With that being said, Desmond, you guys so excited back there? The face of just pure excitement.
I could use 10 extra credit points.
Huh?
I could use 10 extra credit points.
Why 10 extra? What is your grade? Don't you have like an A?
Yeah, but 10
Grant.
sounds good.
Sure. So you need to know that to get favorable court rulings, you also pay bribes. So bribes are an everyday part of life. Okay. Political parties is your next heading. Okay. Your political parties. Russia is a single dominant party system. Why? Why is it, Caesar?
Because it's a dictatorship and authoritarianism.
There you go. It's an authoritarian. It's a dictatorship. So it doesn't want any what, Caesar? There you go. It doesn't want any opposition. So it's a one-party system. It's a one-party system, and that one party is, of course, United Russia. United Russia is all about supporting who, Reagan? Putin. That is literally the answer of the week. Putin. It is all about supporting, rallying, fundraising, pushing for Putin. Is the Republican Party live and die by Joe Biden? No, they're thinking of like casting him out for the 2024 election. Okay, they don't live and die by Joe Biden. Does the United Russia Party live and die by Putin? Yes, quite unlike here in the United States. So all of these political parties are ranked from the biggest to the least. So the number one is the United Russia. These are your smaller political parties. These are very small factions because it's an authoritarian regime. You don't need to write them all down, but you do need to know the second largest party in Russia is the Communist Party of Russia. Why is this party allowed in Russia? Why is it allowed, Annie? Okay, none of these parties oppose Putin, even though when they fundamentally should oppose Putin, because if they oppose Putin, then what happens to them? Yeah, they die, they get disbanded. Why is the Communist Party of the Russian Federation the second most powerful party, Ford? They're not really complaining about Putin in this one. What do you got? Yes, this is the historic party of Russia. Keep in mind, before 1991, Russia was communist. So that's why. It's a historic party, so it's allowed to exist because it was the historic party. I do want you to write down the Liberal Democratic Party of Russia because it talks about how great authoritarianism. And why is that funny? Because it's called the Liberal Democratic Party and talks about how great authoritarianism is. Okay? It says, this party says that Putin should be even more authoritative. Yeah. So it's quite the opposite of what we think. And then finally, I need you to know a Just Russia, which is one of your smallest parties. You should put a big star. This is the biggest threat to Putin, though. Now, as you will see, and it's a little blurb about it, it says that it supports Putin. Why does it support Putin? Because it has to support Putin. But it says it should be a more Western-style two-party system. Except for Putin, because he's great. Any hypocrisy here? Yes. What's up?
If Putin dies, are they gonna remain authoritarian?
Probably, because the next person would probably like to assume the power that Putin has, right? If the power structures are already in place, there are very few people in the world who wouldn't like to be at the top of that pinnacle. Can we agree? Now, I would say a man wouldn't want to be there because how many women are really in power around the country, right? Around the world. With that being said, if you could be at the peak of all power in a country, wouldn't you want to be?
Yeah.
If you were there, would you dismantle it to make it more fair? No, because I think we can all agree, whether you like Joe Biden or not, it's going to kind of suck to be Joe Biden. Can we agree? I mean, this man gets heckled, harassed, and people say horrible things about Joe Biden all the damn time. Can we agree? Now, I wouldn't feel too bad for him because he's still the president of the free world, so he's going to be fine. If you could live in a place, do you think if Joe Biden could eradicate anyone talking shit about Joe Biden, do you think you would? Yeah, if you could have everyone stop saying, we've all seen the bumper stickers, have we not, and the flags and stuff like that. Ideally, he would love for all of that to stop. Can we agree? Okay, don't you think Joe Biden would love all that stuff? Okay, in fourth period, we discussed, do you think he cries about it? Because some of this stuff is really bad. Okay, with that being said, most people would not be able to take that type of abuse that is coming at him from, consistently. Now, I don't care if you like Joe Biden, hate Joe Biden, but that type of pressure and that hatred being focused on you is a lot. Most people cannot handle it, which is why leaders typically go authoritarian. Does that make sense? So if you're already in a place where you can silence those critics and you're already at the peak of power, it's probably going to stay authoritarian because it's really hard for a person to dismantle an authoritarian regime. Don't you think? Because you can have everything you wanted. Like, Putin lives a pretty fabulous life.
Cool, yeah.
Fabulous life by having no civil rights, no civil liberties. Like, his individual life is pretty, like, luxurious, and he just lives in palaces, and he controls every aspect, and he has more money than he could possibly imagine. No one really knows how much money he has because he has it all in shell companies. Because the oligarchs are constantly stashing money for him. So we're actually not sure, but we know it's like exponentially grown since 1999. What do you got? Well, think about it. If all these oligarchs are getting money off of him, do you think he's not making a little cut for himself? Exactly. What do you got, Desmond?
If, like,
Speaking of interest groups.
if Russia loses the Ukrainian war, do you think other like, parts of Russia will rebel? Or
I have no idea. That's a really great question, and I just don't know enough about the geopolitical structures of Russia to know if Putin's hold would survive or not. I don't know. The fact that he's invaded almost a year ago to the day blows my mind. And so Ukraine right now is literally stockpiling all this stuff in fear that the Russians are going to put major bombardments into place to try to capture it for the 1-year anniversary. Like, it's a huge deal what's coming up in the next couple of days, and Russian bombings have gone up significantly, and it is shaking the Ukrainians. Apparently, they're, like, fighting over less than a half a mile of land, and thousands of Russians are dead, and hundreds of Ukrainians are dead, just in the last, like, week. What do you got, Annie?
What was Putin's party?
Putin's party is the United Russia. Okay. Let's do interest groups. Alex, put your head up. Here we go. First interest group are the oligarchs. The oligarchs. We've talked about it multiple times. You shouldn't have to write this down because I've taught you this. The oligarchs are the people who had the inside scoop that the USSR was failing. And they were told, hey, go stand by that mine with a bunch of guns and a bunch of friends and take it for yourselves. Yes? That inside scoop, hey, I took care of you, you take care of me, is this N-word. You have to know that this N-word is at the foundation of the oligarchs. If you take care of me, I take care of you. Okay? You need to know oligarchs were put into power by Yeltsin. Yeltsin is the president after Gorbachev. When the wall comes down, Yeltsin comes into power. Yeltsin is in power until 1999, then Putin. You need to know Yeltsin puts the oligarchs in power and gives them their start. But who allows the oligarchs to thrive? Putin. These 4 men that you see here are oligarchs. These are billionaires in the world. These are the guys on the mega yachts who have like 5 boats inside their mega yacht. Not like jet skis. I'm talking like full-on boats inside. They have planes inside their mega yachts, plus the helicopter on the roof. Like, these are like the insane players of the world. Okay? This is how much money they have. And who allowed them to make that much money? Putin. That's how he's going to centralize his power. Now, you do need to know that the rise of the oligarchs pair with Putin's power. They complement each other, and they protect each other. Okay, the second thing you need to know is the Russian mafia. Isn't that fun? That is so cool. What does the mafia do to make all their money? They sell drugs. They prefer cocaine and, opium. Opium is their second drug of choice. Write that down. You need to know that they are all about human trafficking. They are the number 1 human traffickers in the world. Okay. Sex rings are their other major brand. And selling of luxury off-brand. Okay. What that means is, so like Kim Jong-un is forbidden to buy brands like Cartier and all the crazy luxury brands. But guess who has them all? Kim Jong-un. Because he is killing his people, and his people are starving to death while he drives around in Bentleys, the newest Bentleys, the newest Louis Vuitton, all of those crazy luxury brands. Who provides all those luxury brands to them? The Russian mob are the ones facilitating all of these things. Okay? Now, why would Putin need the mob? Why? Brooklyn.
All the sanctions from North Korea, they can't get stuff in.
Okay, I don't really care about North Korea because I'm not teaching. Why would Putin allow the mob to thrive under him?
Money.
No, he doesn't need the money. He's got plenty of money. He's got oligarchs for money. Why does he need it? Sophia? Yeah, he needs them to kill people. Ladies and gentlemen, people are dying all the time in Russia. You think it's actually Putin out there in the middle of the night walking around? No, it's the mafia. The mafia is really good at killing, so why doesn't Putin hire them? Oh, because he does. Okay, the mafia loves Putin because Putin allows them to do what? Make lots and lots and lots of money. It is open. They can do their business in public. They are not hidden in the corners. They are thriving under Putin. So the mafia makes crazy money, and Putin uses them as the enforcement to the things he needs done inside the country. So if Grant was a journalist inside of Russia who is criticizing Putin, what is the mafia going to do to him? Yeah, they're going to kill him. Absolutely. So it's a relationship that is completely embedded. Civil society is your next heading. Okay, your civil society, ladies and gentlemen, you need to write that there is no civil society in Russia. What is a civil society? What is a civil society? What do you got for me, Nick? We talk about this every country, dude. Help me out, Riley. What's a civil society? Yeah, it's ways people interact with each other. Why is this forbidden in Russia? Sophia? Absolutely. The government cannot regulate it. You need to write the civil society is forbidden in Russia because the government cannot regulate it. Okay? So, there is no civil society because the government can't regulate it. Because of that, how measures they do to control it. They're going to do tax code. So if you start a group, they're going to tax you to death. They're also going to require you to register for permits. So if you have to register for a permit and you don't have a permit, what happens to you? You get arrested. You're breaking the law. So where do you get to go? To jail. Absolutely. So all of these things are there to destructure civil society. Why is Putin so afraid of civil society? Yeah, he doesn't want people to rise up and criticize him. He doesn't want people hearing criticism. Okay? Now, here in the United States, we're a democratic nation, so we appreciate the opposition, yes? If you hate Joe Biden, okay, and you love whoever you're choosing, hearing that criticism, even if you love Joe Biden, when you hear the criticism, it kind of sticks in there. Can we agree? My husband made a comment, like if Joe gets reelected, he'll be 87 years old. He'll be an 87-year-old president. I don't know if it's the start or he'll end on 87, but I heard 87 this morning, and I was like, God damn. That's old as hell. So even if you like Joe Biden and you hear it, at some point in his next term, he'll be 87 years old. It kind of sits in there, right? And that's what Putin's afraid of, is that hearing any criticism, where is it going to sit? In there and collect and add. So even if you're pro-Putin, that criticism, you can still hear it and it can sit there and you can process. That's what he's afraid of. So people who oppose Putin, write it down. People who oppose Putin will be arrested. Okay, for white-collar crimes. Okay, they will disqualify election officials. Okay, they will do searches of homes and inability to get major television and networks to cover footage. Inability to get major TV or coverage for events. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you go up against Putin, life easy or hard? Oh, yeah. There's no way around it. So let's talk media. Okay? You need to know that Russian media is state-controlled or privately owned. Who do you think owns the privately owned sections? Oligarchs own it. So, who are best friends with Putin, of course. So, majority of it is state-owned. Whatever isn't owned is going to be privately owned by the oligarchs. You need to know that the media is not diverse and it's pro-government. The most popular show on television in Russia for a long time was a cartoon about life in the United States, where all they do is, what do you think they do? They just make fun of the United States. Okay, and it's all a bunch of these stereotypes of Americans walking around with our red Solo cups all the time. Okay, and a lot of the characters are just wearing random flags all over their outfits. Because the rest of the world thinks we only wear American flags, like, all the time. Which we do own a lot of American flags on our clothes. Can you think of how many items of clothes you have with American flags on? Yeah, you probably do. I own a couple. How many bathing suits? My husband, I think, has 3 that have, like, American flag on it. I'm 36. We've had a lot of 4th of Julys, okay?
3 bathing suits with an American flag. You're gonna use them 3 days in a row?
Maybe. We usually go to the beach. Anyway, with that being said, the media is controlled by the state governments or it's privately owned by the oligarchs. You need to know that journalists often die mysteriously in Russia. Why is it mysterious? Hello? No, it's mysterious in the fact that it's just the mafia killing them. And why is the mafia killing them? Yeah, they're helping Putin. There you go.